Hi, and welcome to Screens in Focus, the podcast where we talk about your favorite TV shows and movies. I'm Diana, and today we are talking about Bridgerton Season 3, Part 2. Renee is here to join me. Hi, Renee. How is it going?
Hello. Very well, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing great. I can't wait to get your take on this. Bridgerton has ended, and what are we going to do next? So, I would love the question of the day to be, what is your favorite period movie or TV series?
That was that's a very hard one for me because that's one of my favorite genres. So I narrowed it down. I'm going to say Downton Abbey because I really really love that. That was just the first one that popped into my head, and
You
there's
can
a
have
new.
a couple. It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Well, and like, anything, almost anything Jane Austen, of course, and and Poldark. There were all these ones that popped in my head, but I liked, Downton Abbey is just a fun period of time, I believe. It kind of spanned quite a few years, and then we got a new movie coming, so makes it even more exciting.
Do you know I haven't watched it?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I haven't watched it. Oh my gosh. I guess I need to watch it now.
I recommend it. I really, really, I've watched it through several times.
Oh, really? Several times. Well, I know people love it. I know
Mhm.
it's great. I don't know why I haven't
Mhm.
gravitated toward it. So it is probably something I should try and watch. Did you have another one you wanted to mention
Oh, I
or
anything Jane Austen pretty much. I mean, all those are so much fun, and the different, takes on it, the different type, you have a lot of the same movie done several times, or the same book done
yes.
several times, so it's fun
Yeah.
to see everyone's take on those and things like that. And Poldark, I really enjoy that one as well.
Yeah. I am going way back
Mm.
because one that made an impact on me, it's a movie, made an impact on me a long time ago and it's never come out of my brain, and that's Dangerous Liaisons.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever
Mhm.
see that, or
Mhm.
do you
Yeah.
recall that? It's
Mhm.
with Glenn Close, John Malkovich, Michelle Pfeiffer, and I happened to look it up because I'm like, I want to remind myself of this movie because I
Mhm.
knew I loved it, and I knew it had these, like, sexual tensions.
Mhm.
It's basically sexual politics, and it's about these 2 people who are lovers, and then they turn rivals, and it's like how they can get at each other. And I read that Uma Thurman was in there, a young Uma
Mhm.
Thurman, and Keanu Reeves, which
Yeah.
I did not remember those 2. I just remembered the 3 leads because 'cause it's been a long time.
Mhm.
But I just knew that that movie was really good because
Mhm.
like I said, it left an impact on me.
Yeah.
But more recently, we are both have seen The Gilded Age, and
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying
Yeah.
that. So I
Mhm.
think that that's
Yeah,
a
that one's
good
really
current
good.
one. Yeah,
Mhm.
and there's so many. Little Women also, I was thinking is one of my favorite ones that I
Mhm.
love too. And you're right about the different iterations
Mhm.
of it, right? 'Cause different people have done it. So
Mhm.
those are some of mine. I love yours. And
Mhm.
friends out there, we would love to know what your favorite period movie or TV series are. You can let us know what you think. You can comment here on YouTube or on any of our social media. You can get to all our social media in our show notes or at screensinfocus.com. All right. As far as news, I wanted to share, which I didn't share last time we got together, which I'm so shocked because it is one of my favorite TV shows behind The Walking Dead, and that is Cobra Kai. And it is coming in for its final season. There's going to be 3 sections of 5 episodes. The first section is going to drop July 18th and then November 28th and then sometime in 2025. So I can't wait. I love The Karate Kid. It's just had its 40th anniversary. And I know that there's a new movie coming up. Renee, do you watch any of Cobra Kai or
I have not.
anything?
I mean, like, as a kid, I watched Karate Kid, movies and things, but yeah, I just haven't tried it, I guess, since this all new stuff came out. So yeah,
Yeah.
I've not watched any of it.
Love it.
Yes, and I know,
So much.
yeah, many people do.
Yeah, I got my sons to watch it at the very beginning. It
Mhm.
started off on YouTube, and I watched it there, then it turned to YouTube Red, and then it went to Netflix after
Mhm.
that. So, it's so good to
Mhm.
me. It's just so nostalgic. If you like Karate Kid, then you'll probably love Cobra Kai
Mhm.
because it's just their lives,
Mhm.
35 years later. So it's just the rivalry.
Mhm.
It's funny, and it's funny. The 80s music, everything. Okay, but we're here to talk about Bridgerton, so we are going to move on. Did you have any news that you wanted to share?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Well, we will have Renee's link to Undead Walking and all your writings, your link tree link in our show notes. So please check that out because she has so much information.
Mm.
But let's get to Bridgerton season 3, part 2. And yes, there are spoilers ahead. So Colin and Penelope announce their engagement, and Penelope struggles with revealing her identity, and we see weddings and babies and unexpected twists unfold. And the season is filled with blackmail and steamy scenes, including that mirror scene that I really want to talk about, and a dramatic public reveal. So the big question here is, was it satisfying?
So I did like this season, and I more than I thought I would, because I had my issues with Colin going into it, as I shared in our previous edition. But I mean, I really enjoyed Penelope from the beginning. I just always I like her. I felt like she was, underappreciated by her family and all these
Yeah.
things. So she was just an intriguing character, and so I just love seeing her growth in this season. I love seeing her dreams come true and all those things. And I did feel there were some parts that were rushed, but I know those weren't the focus of this. They're putting that in there to build those characters, flesh them out. But like, it did feel a bit rushed,
Yeah.
but I hope, I this wasn't their story. This was Colin and Penelope's story. So then they're just trying to like fit these in to them later. So I understand that, but and when you have 8 episodes, you kind of have to go quickly. But overall, I was very pleased with it. I'm excited about all the build up for what's to come. So that was they did a very good job with that as well, I believe. So overall, yes, it was satisfying.
Yes, I am going to agree with you on that because, yes, I was satisfied, especially when it came to Penelope and
Mhm.
Colin, and especially Penelope, which we'll dig in a little bit deeper as we talk about their relationship and her character and the arcs there. But I did appreciate the stories that were introduced the first 4 episodes, but then I noticed in the second part, I wasn't as invested in them, and I wanted them to hurry up and get out of the
Mhm.
way. I really did. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, get back to Colin and Penelope and what's
Mhm.
gonna happen with
Yeah.
Cressida and Eloise." Like, those 4 to me were what I wanted to see
Mhm.
and how and so that was, that was what I was there for. So
Mhm.
I'm glad that it was the majority of them, but they did have these stories, and you're right, they probably do have to build upon them because of the next season, whenever that may be, and whoever it may be on, which we'll talk about later on too. But yes, I was satisfied with Penelope and Colin and how it all played out. So, in saying that, I want to talk about the highlights in these first 3 episodes, and then we'll talk about the final
Mhm.
episode toward the end because we know that was a big reveal that happens there. So, in these 3 episodes, 5, 6, and 7, we see the engagement, we see the steamy mirror scene, we see Penelope struggle, Cressida scheming, all of this is happening. So what stood out to you? What did you like?
Mhm. Well, I really enjoyed the Bridgerton family, their reaction to the announcement of their engagement. Penelope's been in their lives for however long, forever or whatever, as friend
Yeah.
to Eloise. And, they've all kind of noticed her absence and Eloise's coldness toward her and that sort of stuff. So then for them to be so excited for this, I just thought that was a really neat thing to see, just with their dynamic, the history with the families and things. So I really enjoyed that. And overall, like, Francesca's whole storyline too, because that wasn't something I expected to learn as much as we did about, or to follow her as much as it did, which I did enjoy her storyline. Um, I feel there were some confusing things that, I know we're going to talk about that later too, but I just felt that, she's quite different than the rest of Bridgerton. She's more of the introvert. She's very happy to kind of stand, be a part of the family, but she's more in the shadow, or kind
Yeah.
of on the sidelines, I guess, watching them, and that brings her joy, is to see them enjoying life. She doesn't need to be the center of attention. So I thought
Yeah.
she was a real, yeah, it was really interesting, like when the queen introduced this new man to her, and she's just like, that's not the guy for her. She knew that,
Right.
but
Yeah.
she felt pressured from the queen and her mom to be like this love match and all this. And so, when I loved, which I guess that happened earlier, that was in the first part, but when she met John Sterling, it was just a fun two peas in a pod kind of thing. So I've enjoyed her story very much, just because first of all, I didn't expect to learn that much about her in this season, since it was Colin and
Yeah.
Penelope's. And of course, the whole Cressida storyline, that was fun to see. They took that and kind of twisted it a little bit from the actual books that, it was in, but they did a really good job of including that in the story, which I shared last time. I was excited to see if they would be able to pull that off. So I was glad that they did,
Yeah.
because it was added just a fun element to the whole season. So
Yeah. So when episode 5 started, I love that it was a continuation of the previous episode. And I loved how, I don't know if it was slow motion or not, but it felt like it was. And I think it could have been, because it was almost as if Penelope was taking in, oh my gosh, this is happening to me as she's going. I think it is slow motion, because I think I remember see Collins like turning to her in slow motion as he's escorting her into the house. And you're right about how all the Bridgertons are so excited for her, except for you see Eloise, a little bit
mhm,
reserved. But I liked all that part. I actually really liked that episode.
mhm.
Of course, it was the one with the steamy mirror scene, because as we see this, because
Mhm,
it's the scene where they first have sex, but
mhm,
they reveal her body.
mhm,
I don't know if they've revealed a body quite like that
mhm,
before, because I'm thinking the actors
mhm,
that they both are and that they have to be in order to do that, that is not comfortable.
mhm.
And the fact that they've said that they're really good friends, okay, when you do that in front of a friend,
Yeah.
you know? So it I give them I said this last time, but I give them so much credit for
Mhm.
this,
Yeah.
because that is not easy to do. But I really I felt it felt real. Yes, it's going by really fast, right? So it's gonna go boom, 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 boom. So yes, if you're in real life, it's gonna take
Yeah.
longer, but the way they portrayed it on
Mhm,
screen, the best that they could, I thought it was really well done. I was feeling like I'm peeking in
mm,
on something, and I have been covering my face. I'm like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening." And as he's talking his
mm.
way through it with her, oh man, it was, yeah, it was a steamy scene for
Yeah.
sure. So, and just all of that, because they're happy as can be until, and the it, each episode tends to end on uh, some sort of revelation where you're like, oh shoot, this is happening right now. And I also really loved Penelope's storyline, which we're going to talk a
Mhm,
little bit more about too. But I really love how it concentrated on her as a young woman, and having this ability and not having a voice,
mhm,
and why she did it and what it means in this world of Bridgerton, and also in this world for women. So I love that they touched upon that. So in that, let's talk about the characters and the themes that we saw. We see Penelope and Colin's evolving relationship. Eloise is changing through all this and having some of her own self discoveries. Cressida's doing a lot of scheming. And I do
mhm,
want to talk about Cressida, because she's going through a lot of things herself. And then there's Benedict's subplot, and also Anthony and Kate's news.
mhm.
So what do you think? What do you want to talk about?
Well, there was a lot going on, as you've just stated. So there was a lot to follow, and, like, I agree with you that there were some of them I was just like, "Okay, come on, just keep going, because I wanna see Colin and Penelope, or I want to see I wanted to
Yeah.
see some of the other stories, and some of them I just wasn't as invested in this season for
Yep.
whatever it just didn't strike a chord with me, I guess. And I was just more excited to see Colin and Penelope develop. And I really hoped Eloise would forgive her, and I would, all
Yeah.
these things. So some of the stuff I just kind of, whatever. I kind of, yeah. And, I've shared Benedict's my favorite. And I wasn't really thrilled with the path and not that it wasn't like it was bad or anything. It's just,
Right.
it almost, I guess it seemed a little forced to me, like to set him apart and that kind of stuff, which is fine because he is kind of that, that's kind of how he is. He doesn't always follow the Tan's rules. He does his own thing, which is
Yeah.
good and everything. But I feel like it was almost like kind of disjointed in this story. Like I think if they did that
Yeah.
on his story and explored that way, it would have
Yeah.
been much better. And I would have been more invested in it because it was focused on him and his evolution into whatever it becomes kind of thing. And I love how, like, of course there's all these questions about his sexuality and all these things come up, because of everything that went on with the threesome
Yeah.
and all that. But I love the showrunner. She explained it I loved how she did it. She said that he is, he's more concerned with people's, like, with their, like, their energy, their spirit, and the connection he makes with them rather than their gender. And I thought that was a really good way to kind of compartmentalize him
Yeah.
and how he just kind of does his thing, and he doesn't follow the rules and things. So I enjoyed pieces of it, kind of like how they did. I just wish it would have been maybe more isolated in his story so that I would have been more invested in it, kind of thing.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so I kind of felt, yeah, just kind of out of place. But anyway, that we know, we'll see what happens with that. But overall, I think, yeah, there were so many things, like yeah, with Anthony and Kate, that will be interesting to see how they explore their plans and everything that they're going to be doing in the next season. So again, I just feel like there's so much going on that it was a little hard to be real excited about some of these things, because I think, most people wanted to see more of, Colin and Penelope.
Yeah. What was there anything about Colin and Penelope that struck you?
Well, I guess most with them, I think occurred for me, it occurred in the final episode. I really,
Ah,
and I'll share, there, I got things to
yes.
share later about that, but I just felt like it was kind of this back and forth, but I kept waiting though. I did keep waiting for him to have some kind of revelation, some kind of something. And I shared that in our previous episode about how, does he have a secret? Is there something, I just felt like he was hiding something about those travels,
Mm.
but nothing
Mhm.
ever came, so he didn't. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It was one of those things where he just seemed very secretive every time everyone asked him about his travels. And so I was waiting for this part of the season for him to have some reveal about, I don't know. I don't even know what, but it just felt like there was
Yeah.
something. But that didn't happen. So I kept waiting for that shoe to drop, and it didn't. So, but no, overall, I liked the focus on them because it was their story. And I think, each season it kind of gets, like the first season, we were really focused on Daphne and the Duke. It was very precise on them. And then the next
Right.
season kind of opened up, more. And now this season really, I almost feel it was a little too many storylines to,
Right.
you
It
know,
is. It
yeah.
is.
And I get what they're trying, they're trying to just build things up for the next episodes, and when, these Bridgerton children will be the focus,
Yeah.
then they'll really focus in on them. But
Yeah.
but no, I think I enjoyed Colin and Penelope's story much more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I was feeling the same way. And I think a lot you know what, it's both of them because I kind of wanted to lean more on Penelope
Mhm,
because she was the one who had the biggest challenges and um just just figuring
mhm,
out herself and what she wanted.
mhm,
And I loved how strong she was in this because he right off tells her, "Oh, well, you're going to give this up once he
mhm,
finds out." And she's like,
mhm.
I don't know. I don't know about that. And just how she goes along and she even goes and talks with Madame Delacroix about I think this is right when she's going to get her wedding dress, and
Mhm.
about how she's thinking about giving it up. And then she kind of, in her own way, tells her, I would hate to not see the glow in people when I make them their dress,
Mhm.
alluding to, you're not going to have that satisfaction of
Mhm.
writing and seeing these words in print. So it makes, Penelope think about that a little bit. So I
Mhm.
liked seeing Penelope go through all of
Mhm.
this. Again, we're going to get to a little bit more because so much happened in the last episode. Let's just get to it. We got
I
to hurry
know.
up and get to that episode. But we'll continue with
Mhm.
that. But I do want to bring up Eloise, because we
Mhm.
also see Eloise change. Because in the, like in the first part, she was not happy with
Mhm.
her, but you see her slowly and slowly come around because she begins to understand what it is that Penelope must be going through. And you're right about you want her to forgive her. You want them to be friends because they're good friends with each other. It's like, just make up. You guys
Mhm.
deserve each other, and should be each other's friends and in each other's lives. And this is good. You're going to be sisters, sister-in-law,
Mhm.
sisters. So yeah, so I loved seeing that. And then Cressida, I did want to talk
Mhm. Yeah.
about Cressida for a second and what you thought about her, because even though she's playing sort of like the villain
Mhm.
here, in a way you can't help but feel somewhat sorry for her. It's because she's a woman that people are just deciding her life for
Mhm.
her. Her father is just doing with her whatever he wants, and the mother just has to go along
Mhm.
with whatever the father says, and wanting to marry her off to that older man
Mhm.
who wants 5 children or something like that. And then when he doesn't want her, because she comes out as saying she's whistled down because she wants this money, because she wants the money so that she can go live a life somewhere.
Mhm.
She wants to take off and go with some money. Oh, and then her aunt is supposed to
Mhm.
take her. And so there's just so much happening with
Mhm.
Cressida. What did you have any thoughts about her life? And
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, you're just kind of fed up with her because she just keeps
yeah,
nagging about Penelope constantly. But it's because she's jealous. You piece her together and realize, she was jealous of the friendship that her and Eloise had, that Penelope and Eloise had, and so she
yeah,
is cutting her down and doing those sort of things just to continue, like, Eloise's disdain, whatever, she's feeling
yeah,
for her, to remind her of all these things that are her fault or whatever it is. And then when you get this part two, then you realize there's a lot going on in her home that no one was aware of,
yeah,
about her. Yeah, like you were saying, like, he threatens the mother that, I'm going to take your allowance if you guys don't do these things, and that was the hold these rich men had over the women of that
yeah,
time, because they didn't have a voice and they didn't have, like, we're a little more able to do all those things, a lot more than what they were in that period, because we're not dependent on anybody. I can work myself and I can go. These ladies had no way to make an income,
right,
And
exactly.
so yeah, I did start to feel a little, sorry for her because of her situation, but then she does the blackmail
Yeah,
thing, which again I understand, because she's just trying to better herself, but yet it's,
right.
you're mad at her because it's Penelope and you shouldn't be doing this.
Yes, exactly.
So yes, so it'll be interesting to see if we see more of her, or what happens.
Well, she was in a car I know I'm getting ahead, but she was
Yeah,
in a carriage,
yeah,
looked like she was being shipped
yeah.
off somewhere. I don't know where she was going, so,
So it'll be,
uh,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, what kind of time jump thing we get in this next season, because it's going to be 2 years before we see this next season,
mhm,
and so it'll
mhm.
be interesting
Yeah,
to see what type of whatever happens, and
yeah,
if she, is reintroduced, maybe married, or who knows. Yeah, so it'll be fun to see. But yeah, she was kind of one of those characters you love to hate kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, she was really good at it, and I didn't like her, I just sympathized with
Mhm,
her reasoning. Like,
mhm,
you
yeah.
felt like you said, we were able to see why she was reacting, because a
Mhm,
lot of times people are just, I like that they showed us that,
mhm,
right? Because people a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times, do have actions that affect other people that aren't the greatest, because they're trying to survive
mhm,
something that is happening to
mhm.
them, or what they need to do. So I like that they showed us that part of her.
Yeah.
And yeah, with what you said about Benedict, uh, he was one of the stories that I was like, "Okay,
Mhm.
I don't really wanna." I don't it did feel disjointed. Also, I wanted him to I think it's because when he was with them, I didn't feel any passion toward it.
Mhm.
Like, if I had seen passion, like
Mhm.
chemistry and passion, then I would have been invested, but I didn't feel it with any of them. So
Mhm.
I thought, I'm not feeling it. So bye. I don't want
Hurry
to
up.
see this part. Yeah, hurry up. Give me some passion or get out. But I thought it was interesting that she comes back to him
Mhm.
and says, I want to be with just you. And he said, that's not what I want.
Mhm.
You've made me realize, you've opened my eyes to so many, there's other possibilities out there. And I want to explore those. I'm not ready to close that off yet. And it made me wonder, okay, where if he was next, it's going to be a romantic, whatever it may be,
Mhm.
whoever it's with. So he may shift and change again. And that's okay, because that's what people do,
Mhm.
because she thought she wanted that too,
Mhm.
until she said, you made me realize I do want a committed relationship.
Mhm.
And that's what happens with
Mhm.
people. Because you feel one way with one person, you can flip and feel another way with another
Yeah.
person. Like, somebody can make you feel whatever it is. So, something sparks in you, something changes in
Mhm.
you. And that's the beauty of life, right? Because you do have choices, and you do have, changes that occur to you,
Mhm.
which happens with Francesca, that we're going to get to too in a little bit here. So let's go ahead and talk about the last episode, because I feel like so much happened in episode 8, because Penelope faces blackmail, Colin makes a stand. There were so many conversations between different people in here that were very tender, and I thought
Mhm.
were it was just they were really well done. And Penelope reveals her identity, and it ends with weddings and babies and new beginnings. So tell me what struck out to you and what you want to talk about.
Well, I had put Cressida as my first kind of thing, but we've kind of just, we've kind of discussed that. I said like her last ditch effort to do something, so,
Yeah.
that was like we've already discussed that part of it. And I felt like the ending did kind of rush through a little, I mean, it was a great episode. It was really good, but, like you want to see more of some of these things just because we're invested in their stories, and it's just they're
Yeah.
exciting characters and things. Not that the writers did anything wrong. It's just, I want more, kind of
What
thing.
did you want more of? What did you want more
I
of?
guess, I felt so I love, as I mentioned, Francesca's story. I love that because it was unexpected. And I really liked, I just forgot his name, John
John Sterling,
Sterling. Thank you. Yes, John
Phil
Sterling.
Martin. Yeah,
Yeah,
Lord Phil
Lord
Martin.
Phil Martin, yeah. So I really
Yeah.
liked his character because again, he was another he's a kind of different guy than what you see with these lords and different things, So he was an interesting character. I love that they were so comfortable together that they could just stand there quietly. They didn't have to do anything. They would just talk. They didn't have to do anything. So that part was like fun. But when his cousin, so they announced they're going to Scotland. Very exciting for that. Eloise is going to go with them. It's just so exciting, all these things. And then they introduce Michaela, his cousin. And it's like, what's happening? I didn't understand any of that. I was,
Me too. At first.
yeah. And so I'm like, okay, what's happening? And then I just felt like it wasn't conveyed well for people who hadn't read the book. The people who read the book are like, they're freaking out because they understood that they gender swapped these characters and what it could eventually lead to. And so those of us that haven't read the books are like,
Mhm.
I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah.
But I did read that they gave us a clue that I
Yeah.
again missed all of that.
Me too.
So you know
Me
what I'm going to
too.
say
Yes, I think so. Yes.
about Violet when she met her
Yes.
husband and forgot her
Yes.
name. And it
Yeah.
was, I remember Violet saying that, but I did not put that
Right.
together. I
Me
just,
neither.
yeah. So I felt that for those of us that hadn't read the books, it just wasn't conveyed well. And maybe just because I wasn't paying enough attention, it could be, I've read several reactions and people didn't understand it
Yeah.
that hadn't read the books.
It could have been also the direction
Hmm.
that the actor was given, the
Hmm.
actress
Yeah.
was given
Hmm.
too, right? Because
Hmm.
it was just a look, and then that was it. You're like, wait, what happened? Did something happen I didn't see? Because it didn't look like oh my gosh, you're
Hmm.
like the love of my life, and I'm
Hmm.
interested in you. I didn't get
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
feel from. from
Mhm.
her look. So,
Mhm.
of course, maybe they edited part of it
Yeah.
out. I don't know,
Well,
but
I felt it was
that was
almost like a bit of a jealousy thing, like, "Oh, he's got another woman in
I
his life."
thought I thought that too. I did. I thought, but wait, then he says it's the
His
cousin.
cousin,
So
yeah.
what's
So
happening
I
here?
couldn't
Yeah.
understand this.
I thought that for a second too. I'm like, wait, is she jealous? But then she says, "Oh, it's the cousin," and her reaction didn't change.
Mhm.
So yes, I was right there with you. So there was a missed something there,
Mhm.
opportunity of some sort to, but now we're all
On
up to
the yeah.
speed after reading it all over the place because that's the only way we can get our answers by reading from what other people are saying. But can I say about them, while I really like their
Mhm.
relationship, and she seemed like she goes, "Oh, I love him,"
Mhm.
and she says all of that. I don't know that I saw their chemistry, right? I just know that they love each other because they say they love each other. And I felt Francesca was, I could feel it more from her. I
Mhm.
felt like he was more just, it was more proper
Mhm.
and he was more reserved. I could not read him at all.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So he seemed like a really good guy,
Mhm.
but that was about it.
Mhm.
So
I just put it to the fact that they're both kind of awkward, that like, to
yeah,
me, it was
me
just,
too.
like,
Yes.
not everybody shows their affection like, like Anthony and Kate, I mean, they're very,
Yeah.
they're obviously in love. They're that sort of thing. They just are more forward about it. And I just
Yeah.
kind of felt that both of these characters were, they're just a little awkward, and even in social settings, they're both kind of like, I'd rather be anywhere else but here kind of
Yeah.
thing. I'm doing this because my mom expects it or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I agree with what you say. It was hard to read both of them, and what their affections were, because Francesca at the beginning, she did say that when the girls were asking her, like in part one of the season, they were saying, "So what have you dreamed about your husband?" And she was like, "Oh, I never thought about it." She just, it wasn't on her radar to, like, she just wasn't that type of person to, like, have
Yeah.
those thoughts. So yeah, I can get that.
But since it won't be those two if oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll wait till we get there, but I was just going to say if it was going to be John and Francesca and we were going to see a whole season of them, it doesn't feel like there would have been a lot of fireworks unless something really
Mhm.
changes for them. So I don't know. Of course, again, things happen and maybe they were both playing it a certain way at
Mhm.
this point because they are, like you said, introverts. But
Mhm.
I just keep thinking of like Penelope and Colin, the way Colin just gives one look and I know what the heck he's
Yeah.
thinking, or it feels like what he's thinking, right? Because he
Mhm.
just has this look on his face that
Mhm.
you can read it.
Mhm.
Oh, I also want to bring up um Kate and Anthony.
Mhm.
Anthony, I thought for being in it so minimally, he had so much emotion
Mhm.
on his face and what he thought and what he said. Even when he talked to his brothers,
Mhm.
he was so like interested in, like, tell me what's
Yeah.
happening here. Or, I just loved him. It
Mhm.
reminded me, I'm like, oh, I want to go watch season
Yeah.
two again because I really like these two. And I
Mhm.
love though their connections and how they sort of mentored Colin
Uh-huh.
when Violet probably sends word to them like, hey, you better talk to your
Yeah.
brother, there's something going on here, and then they both come. And I love that it's Kate giving a lot of advice about,
Mhm.
hey, we don't have the perfect marriage either. And it's like, what? Anthony's all, what? What are you talking about? So I liked, that was the one part that I did like seeing. Like I
Mhm.
liked them,
Yeah.
seeing them and seeing their portion. So sorry, I interrupted you with what
You're
you were
fine. This is
talking about.
no, we're talking about the same thing, yeah. I guess another thing that really stood out to me at the final one was the queen's reaction to Penelope's reveal. I loved how she stood there and she had kind of figured it out. She knew it had to be within that group of people. She's
Yeah.
trying to do her sleuthing and all this stuff and
Yeah.
like gives her something to do so she's not bored because she hates
Yeah.
to be bored. So I felt like she has a respect for Penelope as Lady Whistledown, as as a woman in the Ton that took that initiative to to do something like that, no one expected. It was very unexpected. It was nothing that had been done before, that kind of thing. And so I really enjoyed that. And I just felt like, yeah, she has that respect for her because she does shake things up, which the queen loves to do as well. She is always trying to meddle in everybody's, love lives, or,
Yeah.
when they expect her to announce a diamond, nope, I'm not going to announce one because they all want it, and just, she's always trying to do her own thing because she's the queen, she can do
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what happens next with Penelope and the queen. They've been kind of enemies for this,
Right.
will they become allies, or will they, it'll be interesting to see where that relationship goes forward. But I did enjoy that whole scene with her at the ball at the end, and how the queen came in and demanded the person to reveal themselves, and and how that all played out. So yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. Yes, I love that scene. I love that how the queen's reaction was. I loved Lady Danbury's reaction, like really knowing, pulling Penelope aside. And she says, "Oh, you knew?" And she says, "I had my suspicions. I figured it was somebody who loved the Bridgertons, like I do." We didn't even talk about that whole her Danbury and her brother,
I just thought
Lord
about that.
Anderson.
Yes.
Yeah, I do like that too. I
Mhm.
did like that. I okay. I like him.
Yeah,
Like
me too.
I could see him, and maybe Violet. I don't know. Well,
Mhm.
of course, it would be them too. But I
Mhm.
would like to see more of them because I
Mhm.
really do like him, and I like how they show both Danbury
Yeah.
and his talk about the past
Mhm.
and about the father and the impact, all of that. Like I was
Yeah, it was
interested in that.
yeah, that was a
It
very
was
interesting. And
yeah, that
what
was
a man. That the
yeah,
guy that plays for it, he is so
yes,
I just am like, wow, he is very handsome.
yes, yes. I agree. That's probably why I can watch him.
Yeah, I was like, I'll just keep watching him."
Yes. Yes. So I thought that that was cool, and also seeing Lady Danbury and Violet talk at
Yes.
the end when she's basically asking kind of permission, like,
Yeah.
your brother has said this, and is it okay? But then Lady Danbury talks about her dad,
Mhm.
because if you had seen Queen Charlotte, which you should go back and watch, it'll fill in some of the pieces of what
Mhm.
happens. But I just love that these two women are friends
Yeah, yeah.
and have each other's backs.
And I love how
And
like, I don't need to know everything,
yeah,
we're friends, and I don't need to know everything, that's,
yes,
yeah, I love that.
yeah, I love that. I also wanted to bring up Penelope talking with her mom when
Yeah.
her mom finds out about her being Whistledown and not happy about it. And because I can see
Mhm.
everybody's reaction. Like I could see Eloise, I could see Collins, I could see the mom, I can see everybody's, because this is a person you trust and they've been hiding a secret and then they're talking about you in this
Mhm.
article. So I can see everybody's initial reaction
Mhm.
being, "What the heck?
Yeah.
You wrote this stuff about me?" But then once Penelope explains why she did it, because she felt voiceless
Mhm.
and she didn't have an outlet, and she understands that she was careless in how she did certain things, but how she wants to change that. And that's how she convinces Colin of that too, when
Mhm.
they have a conversation. So I love that her and her mother had this conversation, and her mother said basically, "I'm proud of you
Mhm.
because you did this all on your own. You were able to do it all on your own." So I
Mhm.
thought that was, really cool. And I love that Penelope shares her money with her sisters by
Mhm.
paying for the ball. Okay, I don't know anything about taxes in this era and how their taxes, but it got me to thinking, and this is probably me thinking way too hard, but couldn't the queen have figured out who they were paying or unless it was cash, because aren't there taxes involved in
Well,
money
there
that
and they
you
were doing cash transactions because
yeah.
the boys would sell the little boys would run around and sell the Whistle Down publication, and then take it back to the publisher, and then the publisher would give her the money. So I'm
Mm,
sure it was, and that day I have no idea. I mean, there's obviously
Right.
taxes because that's all,
Yeah.
there's reason. Yeah. Anyway, they do have all that, but I suppose it was just under the table kind of thing
Yeah.
because, yeah.
Because you
So
would think if the queen really wanted to know, she would put it into
look on
place
those
how she was
records
gonna
somewhere.
figure
Yeah.
it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Figure it
I'm
out.
sure Whistledown was, I'm sure she was giving the publisher a generous cut of whatever, to
Yeah.
for his silence. So, but that, yeah, it's a interesting topic.
Well, because by Cressida was able to find out so easily by
Well,
going to all the doors, knocking
yeah.
on them, and looking for information. And somebody said, "Oh, I heard Whistledown was a redhead." Oh yeah,
Oh,
tell me
really?
more.
What else?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So evidently the queen just didn't think of that avenue or something.
Yeah. So I, like I was saying, I really loved all the conversations that Penelope had with everybody, and the one with Colin. I thought it was
Mhm,
just really it was heartfelt having that, hearing them have that conversation
mhm,
and professing their love for each other and just building one another up.
mhm,
Him saying, you, I don't know if he says you're so brave or strong. I don't know what he says, but, and someone like you could love someone like me. And if I could be with you, that maybe a little bit of your light can shine on me. I was
mhm.
like,
Yeah.
oh my God, Colin, you're saying the perfect words. And then she tells him, of course, that she loves him and then he loves her. And
Mhm.
it's good from there. It's good from there because then you see it. Whatever it is, 10 months later, she has a baby. They all have babies.
So many babies.
Yeah, she has a boy, which is very cool. So we see that, and we see prior to that, we see them take off, and Eloise has decided to go with everybody to Scotland. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, to Scotland, but everybody's leaving.
Yeah.
So, of course, there's a lot of babies in town. So,
Yeah.
anyway, we are at the point of, and the award goes to. So, Renee, I would love to know, what was your favorite quote, character, or moment?
So mine's from the final episode after she reveals that she's whistled down and he tells her that he kept trying to separate her from Whistledown. And he reread all the letters over the years that she had sent him and realized they were one and the same and that he was fine with that and he was not didn't want to change her, didn't want to, and just accepted her for who she is. And that, that's something she's longed for, somebody to do that because her mother never did, her sisters never, there nobody ever just let her be herself.
Mhm.
And so to have this man she loves say those words, I just was like, oh. And to me, I was like, that to me is to have a man accept you exactly, with no qualms about it. Not even like,
Yeah.
well, whatever. It's like 100% I'm in. This is what I'm doing. I'm like, to me, that's better than almost any romantic gesture I could think of
Yeah,
is to be
it
so
is.
accepting. So I just, yeah, that was serious. I was just kind of like, listening
He
to that.
even he even tells her, "I'm a little bit envious
Mhm, yeah.
of you," because
Hmm.
he was feeling bad because he's trying to write a book
Yeah.
and he doesn't know,
But she's this
exactly. And
writer
he's all,
that's
"Here, you're a published writer." Well, you're trying to write a book.
a very good published writer.
Yes, exactly. So, yes, I love that part too. Ah, that's a good moment. And I agree with you. I think that is one of my favorite moments, but another favorite moment of mine was after they got married and it's in the daylight, they're having a breakfast or whatever it
Mhm.
is, and they dance together. And I think he says, but it's daylight or something to
Yeah.
the effect. And she says, can't we dance? We danced in the church. I think that's what she says, something
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like
But
that.
then they proceed to dance. And I love that we see a moment like no one else is there,
Mhm,
because I just think that gives you that mood of what's happening.
mhm.
And then they continue to dance. It's Taylor Swift song. Was it You Belong to Me? Or You
Oh,
Belong with Me? I think it's You Belong with Me. Anyway, the music is just perfect. There was just something about that moment that
mhm.
I just thought was very sweet, very, I don't know. I think it was the moment that because it was like they were by themselves and they were
Mhm.
just with each other, they loved each other. So that part and then the part that you just said, it's like, oh man, those are just perfect parts. So I do think one of the sort of steamy scenes that I just want to briefly
Mhm,
mention is the part where she's walking down the streets after being with Madame Delacroix,
mhm.
and they run into each other and they have some conversation, and then he takes her over to the side and they start making out. I was like, ooh, this
Like, "Oh
is
my gosh."
yes, exactly. And then they hear somebody and he's all, be
Don't move,
quiet.
don't move, don't
Yeah,
move.
yeah. He has to make her stop. So I'm like, ah. So all those type of moments. I
Yeah.
love those type of moments. They're so good. All right. Well, this was a good part two, a good conversation, Renee. I really enjoyed it. So do you have any final thoughts? Anything else you want to bring up, or what you think season 4 might be about?
So,
Or
we've speculated about this part during the part 1 episode. We wondered, how there could be the whole thing about Francesca, but I've discovered since then that there's a lot more to her story. Have you read like what her book is about?
no,
So,
no.
if you don't want to know what the book's about, you should probably not keep listening. In the book, she befriends Michael. So in the book, Michaela is Michael and
Yes.
cousin, still cousin, but they just have this really fun connection. They're very good friends. They develop this friendship and everything. And John dies, and then they fall in love. But she loved John, and like in the book and things, she loved him, and they had a wonderful relationship. But
But
so
he's gone. But
yeah,
he's gone, unfortunately. Yeah.
but she has this person in that place, and then I guess I'm not sure that they get married. I don't know what exactly all happens, but there is a whole lot more to her story. So I feel like the next season will be her story. And again, this is just my speculation. I have no inside news. This is just
Yeah.
me talking, but I feel like
Yeah.
it will be her. And I'm hoping that we get, like some Scotland, like we're there and seeing some of that, maybe the Bridgertons come to visit, or I don't know, like because Eloise is there, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what they do with that, or how they do it, or will they skip ahead and just fill in the gaps, which I hope not.
Yeah.
I mean, because Eloise hints to Benedict about the masquerade ball, and so there's a lot of speculation that Benedict's love interest will be introduced in that at the ball. I've read several outlets. They're speculating
Ah.
that that's how his person, because we haven't met that person yet, and so they could be introduced in at the ball somehow. So will it just skip for? It's hard to know what they'll do with
Yeah.
this because there'll be such a gap in between this season and the next. But I think that I'm positive I read that it'll be 2 years before it's out. So but it could be because maybe we're going to get filming in Scotland. Maybe they're going to go to India and visit, Kate and everything going on there, Kate and Anthony. And so, anyways, that's just my thoughts. That's what I want to see, I guess. All that. I want to see all the areas and places and
I have no idea what they're going to concentrate on, but we know we have a few options because it
Mhm,
is Francesca
mhm.
and Michaela. Is that her name? Michaela
Yes.
or
Yeah.
okay? Because it's like Michael, a
Yeah.
variation of
Mhm.
Michael, I would
Yeah.
assume. And then Benedict
Mhm.
and somebody,
And Eloise,
or
there's
it could be Eloise,
because she,
or it could be Violet and
yeah.
Lord Anderson,
Mhm.
or
But
it could be somebody else.
I
We
know it's
don't
hard. Yeah.
know.
It's
We
hard to
don't
say. Yeah.
know.
But
Because people can speculate all they want,
yeah.
and we don't know where the story is. But I'm assuming they're going to lean a little bit into some part of the books as they
Yeah, they
have.
usually
But
do, yeah. I mean, I know that the author has given them a lot of liberties to change things, I think there were certain things she asked to be kept this way or whatever, but for a lot of it, she's given them a lot of liberty to just kinda
yeah,
make a good story.
yeah, we'll have to watch all
Yeah,
the Southern TV and movies that are out there until this comes
I
back. But
know.
and we have 2 years to wait. So, which
Mhm.
a lot of good TV shows and movies, it's taken that long for
Yeah,
some
yeah.
reason. So Oh, man, and, I just marvel at all the
I
costumes
know.
just the
The
backdrops and the
decor,
places
yeah.
that. Yeah, I really noticed it, especially in part 2, just because
Mhm.
I was trying to take it all in, and I thought, "Oh, man, the attention to detail and just the
Mhm.
music." I mean, think about all the music, them just having to play a
Yeah.
song as people, and then the choreographed dancing.
Mhm. There's
Woo, there's a
so
lot
many
going
pieces,
on.
yeah. I
Yeah.
I just real quick one about we were talking about the decor, the backdrops and stuff, the butterflies when she's like,
Yeah.
the bugs," because she kept talking about the bugs. I'm like, "Why is she talking about bugs?" I didn't realize, oh, it's the butterflies, but it was
Oh, I thought she
hilarious.
said the birds.
No, the
She
bugs.
said
She
the bugs?
because
I thought she
even
said the
earlier
birds, the birds. Yeah.
when they were planning it, she goes, "Oh, we
Yeah.
can have the bugs." Is what she and I'm like,
Ah,
"What kind of bugs is she going to have?" So, I thought that was hilarious when they were butterflies.
butterflies are better.
I
Yes.
get their bugs, but,
Appreciated
I
the
was thinking
butterflies.
crawling
Yeah.
crickets, I don't know.
Yeah. Yep. And I love and we didn't talk about the very end where Whistledown writes her latest article,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it starts with Julie Andrews' voice, and then it goes into Penelope's voice, and it's signed Penelope Bridgerton, which
Yes.
was a great way to end it. Yeah.
Oh,
And I
absolutely, yeah.
also
Very good.
yeah, and I also love that the queen says, "We all need a little bit of gossip."
Yeah.
When it is
Yeah.
revealed and she says, "I don't know what'll happen," and she's, "We all need a little bit of gossip." Yes, we do, queen, we all do. Wow, okay, Renee, thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course.
I don't know. I wouldn't be here without you, so thank you for joining me.
Of course. I'm glad you asked.
I always love your perspective and just everything that you have to say, because it just adds to it, makes me think. I love it.
I know,
But
it's a lot of fun.
we do have TV and movie recommendations, and I know we normally include them in our episodes, but please look for the episode releasing after this, because we are going to share our TV and movie recommendations there. But we want to thank you for joining us. We are grateful you joined us today, and we hope something that we said today resonated with you, gave you a chuckle, some happiness, some positivity, or inspiration. Don't forget to subscribe to Screens in Focus at screensinfocus.com. Why not share this podcast with a friend? Because we would love more members of our TV club. Remember to keep watching, keep exploring, and keep those screens in focus. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.